Heartwarming moment. Struggling single mom spends last dollar on diapers. Billionaire's incredible encounter. Jessica stood at the edge of despair, her heart pounding in her chest as she stared at the dwindling cash in her wallet. $1. Just one miserable dollar. It could either buy a pack of diapers for her toddler, or it could fuel her car for the early morning shift at the diner. Her mind raced, the weight of unpaid bills suffocating her spirit. The vibrant city outside her tiny apartment, filled with bright lights and bustling streets, felt like a cruel joke against her daily grind. As a single mother of two, she longed for a miracle, but hope was a luxury she could hardly afford. Every morning, she plastered on a brave smile, even as her heart ached for her children. Olivia, her 5-year-old, would clap her hands and sing, her innocence a stark contrast to Jessica's worries. Little Max, just a toddler, gurgled and cooed as if the world were nothing but a playground, completely unaware of their fate. She couldn't help but feel guilty. They deserved better than this. At the diner, the clatter of plates and the chatter of customers filled the air. Jessica wore an apron that had seen better days, her tired eyes still managing to sparkle with kindness. As she poured coffee for a table of regulars, she felt a familiar presence. Tom, the billionaire philanthropist. He was a regular, yes, but to Jessica, he was just another customer to serve with a polite smile, even though inside, she felt worn to the bone. When he walked in that day, dressed in his crisp suit and exuding easy confidence, she couldn't help but feel the pang of envy. He seemed to live a life untouched by worry, where diapers and gas were mere trivialities. But as she filled his cup, she caught a glimpse of understanding in his eyes. "How are you doing, Jessica?" he asked, genuine concern etched on his face, though their worlds felt oceans apart. "Oh, just keeping it together," came her practiced response as she masked her internal chaos. Somewhere in the innocent laughter of her children, she felt Tom's curiosity stir. Just when she thought she could escape the weight of her troubles, chaos erupted in the community. A fire had broken out at a local school, drawing people together in an inspiring show of support. Jessica, propelled by instinct and maternal strength, found herself organizing the relief efforts. Despite her exhaustion, she became a beacon of hope, her voice steady amidst the chaos. Tom watched from the sidelines, his perceptions shifting as he saw the overwhelming unity of the community. He stood there, debating within himself. Should he get involved? His wealthy friends often mocked the struggles of those below them, brushing off the notion of helping others. But there was something about Jessica, her fierce determination, her unwavering resilience that gnawed at him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the night deepened, Jessica's strength shone brighter than the city skies. The community rallied, inspired by her selflessness, each person joining hands and hearts in a shared mission of hope. Tom's heart raced as he felt a deep stirring within him, a call to step forward, a call that felt dangerously like the cusp of change. With Jessica moving like a whirlwind, empowering those around her, he was left to ponder a question that lingered in the air like the smoke from the fire. Would he dare to challenge everything he believed in and embrace the humanity he had once overlooked? Or would he turn away, allowing this moment to vanish like so many before it? The choice sat heavy in his chest, igniting a sense of urgency. What path would he choose, and how would it redefine both their dreams? As dawn broke, the glow of a new day bathed the city in softness, but for Jessica, it felt like the calm before a storm. She stood in her kitchen, making sure Olivia had her breakfast while glancing over at Max, who was blissfully unaware as he played with his toys. The aftermath of the fire still loomed over the community, but Jessica also felt the weight of another, quieter storm brewing in her heart. She had woken that morning with hope flickering like a candle in the wind. After the previous night's solidarity and laughter, a moment of pure human connection, she realized there might be more out there for her and her children. Maybe Tom's concern was the first spark of a change she desperately needed. Yet doubt crept in, whispering that such thoughts were foolish. What could a billionaire possibly want to do with someone like her? After sending the kids off with a neighbor for the day, Jessica returned to the diner, her mind racing. It felt different today, palpable, as though the air was charged with possibilities. As she set about her routine, she noticed Tom already seated, coffee in hand, deep in thought. It struck her how he looked vulnerable in that moment, the weight of the world set upon his shoulders. "Hey, mind if I join you?" she asked, surprised at her own nerve, putting down the coffee pot and moving over to him. A quick smile broke across his face. "I'd like that, actually," he admitted, his tone lighter. They talked as they always did, but today the conversation danced around deeper topics. Jessica held her own as she shared her dreams with him, stories about her kids, and the tiny but bright moments that made her struggle worthwhile. Tom listened, his expression shifting from curiosity to admiration. "I didn't realize how much you juggle," he said, his voice sincere. "You're pretty incredible, you know." She shrugged, not wanting to appear boastful. "I just do what I have to for them." Tom looked at her for a long moment, the gears in his mind visibly turning. What if I could help? I could set up a fund for the relief efforts, expand them beyond this disaster. It could make a real difference. Jessica inhaled sharply, her heart racing with uncertainty and hope. "But, why?" "You don't have to because I want to," he cut her off, determination clear in his tone. "And maybe it's time I learned what it means to be part of a community, rather than just watching from afar." His eyes flickered with passion, and for a moment, the world's discrepancies felt like they melted away. But still, the doubt bubbled up inside her. "And what would that make me? A project or charity case?" She challenged lightly, yet the weight of her words sat heavily between them. "No, Jessica. You're not a charity case. You're inspiring. You showed everyone what strength looks like when they thought they couldn't do anything. But you deserve support too, maybe even a friend." As she absorbed his words, emotions surged within her. It felt impossible and yet so tantalizingly close. Just as she opened her mouth to reply, the diner door swung open, and an excited shout interrupted them. "Jessica! We're needed at the school, there's been more damage." An older woman yelled, urgency clawing at her voice. Jessica's heart sank, but responsibility ignited within her. Without another second to spare, she threw a quick glance at Tom, whose eyes mirrored determination. "Let us go," he said, rising with her, his energy infectious. Together, they rushed out, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But as they stepped onto the bustling street, Jessica could feel the change in the air, a shift that pulled her towards the future, towards possibilities she had never dared to dream about. But then she hesitated, a question flickering through her mind like a light bulb turning off and on. Could this be the beginning of something more for both of them? Or would the weight of their worlds keep them apart when they needed each other most? The sun hung high, casting a warm glow over the streets as Jessica and Tom moved swiftly toward the school. The urgency in the older woman's voice echoed in her mind like a rallying cry. Each step felt heavy, weighted not just with fear of what they might find but also of the conversation they'd just left hanging in the diner. The school loomed ahead, a patchwork of repairs still visible in its cracked facade. Jessica's heart raced not just from worry for the building's condition but from the fluttering of possibilities that had begun to ignite in her heart. What if things could change not just for her and her children, but for the whole community? As they entered the building, a crackle of chaos greeted them. Teachers and volunteers rushed around, trying to assess the damage, organizing supplies for students whose lives had been uprooted. The smell of wet paint and fresh wood filled the air, mingling with the tension that crackled like static. "Jessica! Over here!" a teacher called, waving her over. Relief washed over her as she spotted familiar faces amidst the crowd. She exchanged a quick glance with Tom, who offered her an encouraging nod. It felt solidifying, a pact forged in the fire of shared purpose. "What's the situation?" Jessica asked, her voice steady even as panic simmered beneath. The teacher explained that part of the roof had collapsed during the last storm, damaging classrooms and forcing them to relocate students. Volunteers were sorting through supplies to help, but they were running low on essentials. "I thought we had more diapers for the little ones, but it seems we're down to almost nothing," the woman said, her brow furrowed in concern. Jessica felt a pang in her chest. There were so many families, all struggling as she was. A single mother might show up just wanting to care for her child, but reality had a way of making even the most basic needs feel like a luxury. Tom was beside her, scanning the room, and an idea seemed to light up his features. "Let's set up a donation station here," he said, his voice rising over the din. "We can collect whatever the community can spare, funds, supplies, anything." Jessica's heart fluttered at his demeanor. This was what leadership looked like. The way he cast aside his privilege to help those in need added a dimension to him she hadn't seen before. Was he really willing to invest in this community not just financially, but with his time and effort? "Great idea!" she exclaimed, her excitement bubbling over. "And maybe we can offer a place for families to gather, share resources, and support each other." They immediately started organizing while the others around them began to rally too. Laughter and chatter mixed with shouts of encouragement. Together, they created a makeshift donation center in one of the school's larger classrooms. The energy transformed as they worked side by side, collecting clothes, food, and yes, diapers. Hours passed, and Jessica felt a sense of belonging wash over her. For once, it didn't feel like she was doing this all alone. People shared their stories, their struggles, and every shared laugh helped stitch something deeper together in that room. But as they took a moment's break, Jessica caught Tom watching her. The affection in his gaze was accompanied by a question that loomed heavy. Was this truly a tie developing between them, or was it merely a moment of compassionate connection? "Jessica," he finally said softly, almost hesitantly, I think I might be falling for you." Her heart pounded, a swirl of emotions rising within. She could hold her breath, or take a leap. The moment stretched between them, thick and pulsating with possibility. Would she dare to embrace the unknown, or retreat back to safety? As the question hung in the air, Jessica realized that the next step would not only decide their personal futures but could potentially change everything for them both. Jessica's mind raced as she locked eyes with Tom. His gaze hinted at something deeper, something beautiful yet terrifying. The world around them faded into a blur of laughter and tears as her heart throbbed with a wild mix of hope and fear. Was she really ready to let someone in again? "Tom," the words floated in her throat, caught between the thrill of connection and the weight of her past. She had been so cautious, afraid of getting hurt again. But this felt different. There was a spark, a promise of something new. Hey, look here." A voice interrupted, bringing her back to reality. A small grouping of children had gathered, trying to peek over the boxes of supplies stacked high in the classroom. Their determined little faces shone with curiosity and hope, reminding Jessica why they were all there. The room soon filled with laughter again as someone handed out snacks. A child timidly approached, clutching a worn-out teddy bear. "I want to help too," he said, his voice small but firm. "Of course, buddy." Tom knelt beside him. "You can help us sort these donations. Can you help me organize these toys?" The boy's smile lit up the room. Jessica was grateful for every moment of joy crafted in these little acts. With every supply given and received, a thread of connection was woven tighter through the community. She watched as families came together, mothers, fathers, children all rallying around a shared purpose. It felt powerful. "Jessica," Tom called out, breaking her reverie. "Can you grab those bags over there?" He gestured to a pile near the door, his enthusiasm contagious. As they worked side by side, Jessica found herself glancing at him more often. Tom moved with a grace that was surprising for someone of his stature, completely immersed in the cause. The way he naturally engaged with everyone showed she wasn't the only one being drawn into this existence they'd created. "Do you see that?" she asked him mid-lift, pointing to a group of teenagers who had started sorting books together, giggling and sharing stories. "This is amazing." "It really is," he replied, a genuine smile softening his features. "Look at how much we can achieve when we just..." His voice trailed off as their eyes met again, and an unspoken understanding passed between them. Just then, Jessica's phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from her sister flashed on the screen, reminding her of the bills she needed to pay, the groceries she should have picked up. Reality threatened to pull her back from this moment, but deep down, she felt a flicker of determination. "Everything okay?" Tom asked, noticing her sudden shift in demeanor. "Yeah. Just it's a lot to balance." "I'm fine." She tucked her phone away, forcing a smile. But a pit of anxiety churned within her. Could she really keep organizing things here, while her responsibilities loomed at home like shadows? "I can help," Tom offered, reading the tension in her body. "With whatever you need at home. We can figure out a way to make this work together." His words surprised her. Just as she had begun to see a glimmer of hope, the weight of her reality threatened to shatter it. Could she really let someone in, someone who offered not just assistance but emotional support? "Tom, I appreciate it, but it's complicated," she frowned, searching for the right words. "It doesn't have to be," he insisted, his voice steady. "Just give it a chance, Jessica. Sometimes, we find what we need in the most unexpected places." She stared at him, her heart pounding. The room pulsed with renewed energy, filled with laughter, hope, a community coming back to life. Suddenly, Jessica found herself in a whirlwind of possibilities, the daunting, the heartwarming, and everything in between. Could she really allow him to share not only the burdens but also the joys in her life? As the laughter around them grew louder, a new wave of uncertainty washed over her. She felt caught between the familiar terrors of vulnerability and an exhilarating new path unfolding before her. "Tom, wait," she whispered, unsure how to convey everything boiling inside her. Would she step out of her comfort zone and embrace this chance for change? The moment hung in the air, electric and uncertain, leaving questions of heart and risk lingering heavily between them. What would she choose? Jessica's heart raced, the weight of her decision pressing down as the laughter swirled around her. The joy in that room felt contagious, but it was also shadowed by her fear. Tom's gaze held promise, but was it a promise she could trust? "Tom, wait," the word slipped out again, barely a whisper. It was as if she stood on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap but afraid of the plunge. "What is it?" he asked, kneeling in front of her, his expression a mix of concern and anticipation. "Talk to me." She searched for words, drag and drop. But all she found were fragments of an answer, buried beneath layers of doubt. "I don't know if I can." Tom reached out, his hand gentle on her arm, grounding her. "You don't have to have it all figured out right now. Just take a breath, okay? We'll navigate this together." She nodded, wanting so desperately to believe him. Around them, the room buzzed with lively chatter. Children cheered as they pulled out toys from the boxes, mothers hugged each other with gratitude, fathers lifted kids into the air to showcase their new books. Tom's sincerity wrapped around her like a warm blanket. "Let us not focus on everything else for a minute. Just you and me." She breathed in deeply, trying to still the storm inside her. In that moment, she noticed a child struggling with a large box filled with books against the far wall. His face scrunched in determination as he fought to lift it above his head. "I'll help him," she said, a glimmer of purpose igniting within her. "Just, give me a second." "Of course." He smiled, watching her with that supportive gaze, and she felt bolstered by it, as if a tiny light surged within her. Jogging over, she kneeled beside the boy. "Need a hand?" she asked, and his face lit up. "Yes. It's too heavy. Together, they lifted the box, and she couldn't help but laugh at his relief. You're stronger than you look. Teamwork makes it lighter, right? Yeah. He grinned, pride gleaming in his eyes. As they sorted books, Jessica felt the weight of her worries lighten a little. For a brief moment, laughter and joy eclipsed the burdens she carried. Maybe, just maybe, Tom was right. There could be a way through the chaos. When she returned to where Tom stood, his eyes sparkled with appreciation. You're amazing with them, he said, stepping closer. You're making a big difference. Thanks, she replied, surprised at how his words ignited a warm blush on her cheeks. Do you want to take a break? We could step outside for a moment, get some fresh air. He suggested, his tone casual but inviting. The idea of stepping outside felt daunting yet freeing. Here was a chance to breathe, to step out of the whirlwind and gather her thoughts. Yeah, that sounds nice, Jessica agreed, the timid corners of her heart pushing to take that small step forward. As they moved toward the door, the laughter faded behind them, replaced with the soft rustling of leaves outside. The sun cast a golden glow, filling the air with lingering warmth. Thank you for today, really, Tom said when they were outside, a soft breeze tossing their hair. You're making this whole experience worthwhile. The sincerity in his voice wrapped around her like a familiar song, one she had almost forgotten. I want to help. I do. But there are so many other responsibilities. He stepped closer, his eyes earnest. What if we tackle them together? I mean it, Jessica. You're not alone in this. The thought was intoxicating. What would it mean to truly engage with someone again, to share her burdens? Could she step beyond her fears into this newfound bond? As emotions tumbled through her mind, she could hear the laughter from inside again, and somehow it felt like they were all connected through a thread of hope. Tom, she started, her heart thumping, but before she could say more, he stepped back, a hint of uncertainty shadowing his face. That lingering expression, mingling with the sunlight and the laughter behind them, made her stomach twist. Had she just lost her chance to embrace something beautiful? As they stood there, a moment stretching uncomfortably, the air crackled. With unspoken words. Would she explore this? Would she allow herself to leap into the unknown? With the laughter surrounding them, she felt the need for a leap of faith soaring in her chest. But just then, a loud shout drew their attention from the classroom. Jessica! Tom! You have to see this. Jessica's heart raced again. Was this the moment they had been waiting for, or just more chaos? What would they discover next? Jessica's pulse quickened as she turned back towards the classroom, curiosity piqued. The excited call echoed down the hallway, pulling at her with an urgency she didn't quite understand. What is it? Tom asked, his brows knitted with concern. I don't know, but it sounded important, she replied, her instincts urging her forward. She hurried back inside, Tom close behind her. Children had gathered in a circle, their faces lit with excitement. One boy who had been somewhat shy stepped into the middle. He held something small and bright in his hands, struggling to contain his own joy. Look, he shouted, his voice high-pitched with thrill as he lifted the item above his head. As she got closer, Jessica realized he was holding a pet hamster, its tiny body wriggling in his grasp. The little creature seemed unfazed by the cheers from its audience. Laughter erupted as the boys jostled for a better view, their chatter sounding a mix of awe and disbelief. Is it real? Can we pet it? One girl squeaked, her eyes wide with delight. Tom bent down to meet their enthusiasm. Where did you find him? He asked the boy who had brought the hamster. In my backyard. He just showed up. The boy's pride was palpable, his chest puffed out as he continued. I thought we could keep him here for the day. A hamster at school? That's amazing. Jessica smiled, her worries fading into the background. She could feel the joy radiating off the kids. It was infectious and warm, just the kind of energy that kindled hope. The laughter swelled, shoving its way through the tension inside her. "Let us make sure he has a safe place, okay? We don't want him hopping away," she said, watching as the children began to scramble around. As the kids rallied to create a cozy home for the little creature, Jessica felt the weight lift again, albeit momentarily. Memories flickered in her mind of simpler times, of moments filled with childlike joy. But even as satisfaction washed over her, a familiar knot formed in her stomach. Was this just a distraction from her deeper fears? Across the room, she caught Tom's gaze. He gave her a reassuring nod, as if reading her thoughts. He moved closer, supporting her in this moment of levity. "See," he said lightly, his eyes sparkling. "You're making a difference in their lives. One moment at a time." The laughter around them swelled again, a rich, melodic chorus of innocence. As she turned to look, she found herself lost in the delight of the scene. In that bubble, laughter became a bomb, and for the first time, she considered that maybe the walls she'd built didn't have to be impenetrable. But as quickly as the joy spread, the door swung open, sharply cutting through the lively ambience. In walked a tall figure, wearing a stern expression that immediately silenced the room. Jessica's breath hitched when she recognized the face. "Mr. Carter, the principal." "Excuse me, what is going on here?" he boomed, his eyes darting around, landing on the gathered group. The joyous chatter dimmed to a soft murmur. Jessica hesitated, excitement fleeing as reality crashed back in. Was there about to be trouble? Would they lose this happy moment? "What does he want?" whispered Tom, glancing nervously at her. "I don't know," Jessica replied, a wave of apprehension flooding her again. As Mr. Carter approached, the hamster slipped from the boy's grasp, landing with a soft thud on the floor. The kids gasped. Would the fun come to an abrupt end now? Fingers crossed, Jessica bit her lip, wondering how this would unfold. Would she stand up for the joy they had just created? And with that, time seemed to still as they collectively held their breath, waiting for the principal's next words. Could they keep the day alive? The room was like a live theater, every child frozen in place, eyes wide and mouths slightly open as they watched the tiny ball of fur roll across the floor. Jessica could sense the tension thickening the air, twisting her insides as she stepped forward, an instinctive urge to protect the moment blooming within her. "Mr. Carter," she began, her voice steady but soft, trying to weave a bridge between the authority of the principal and the joy of the moment. "They just found a hamster, and they wanted to give him a safe place to play." "This isn't a disruption." "Stop right there," Mr. Carter interrupted, his tone sharp. A hush fell. The kids' faces fell too, shadows of disappointment clouding their excitement. "Animals don't belong in schools. This is against the policy." All those big eyes stared at him, and Jessica saw something breaking in their spirits. The little boy who had found the hamster looked down, his joy wilting like a flower without sunlight. "But he's just a kid trying to share something amazing," Tom chimed in, stepping beside Jessica. His voice was firm, but it carried warmth too. "Can't we make an exception? It's not just an animal, it's a moment they'll remember." Mr. Carter's gaze softened momentarily as he saw the glimmer of hope in the children's eyes. "I understand, but rules are rules. This is for their safety and the school's policy," he said, though Jessica sensed a crack in his resolve. The hamster scurried along the floor, oblivious to the growing tension. As Jessica crouched down to observe, she felt a rush of determination swelling within her. "Mr. Carter, please," she said, her heart racing. "These kids are having a moment of pure joy. Isn't that what we want them to feel? This spirit of sharing and caring? It's what makes them who they are." The principal hesitated, glancing down at the little creature that had unwrapped laughter from the children, like a present bursting open. "And what would happen if this hamster suddenly escaped? Or if someone is allergic?" he countered, though his voice lacked its earlier sharpness. The argument simmered in the air, and Jessica knew this was her chance. "Every moment we can embrace joy is essential, especially now," she pressed. I can keep an eye on him until the end of the day. If it's truly a problem, I'll find a way to remedy it. Tom nodded in agreement, adding, "Look at them. This is something special. We can work together to make it safe." Around them, the children's eyes flickered back to life with hope, as if latching on to their words. Jessica could see their dreams of adventure dance within them, and it ignited something in her, a bubbling wish that she never wanted to snuff out. Diapers. Carter looked from their eager faces to the hamster, the battle on his face waging silently. With a deep breath, his shoulders dropped a little, but Jessica knew the decision would not be easily made. "All right," but he finally relented, his voice softer, "this is a one-time thing. You all have to promise to be responsible. This isn't a toy, it's a living creature." Cheers erupted around her, laughter spilling back like sunlight after storm clouds. Jessica's heart surged. "Thank you, Mr. Carter. We promise." She called out, catching the delighted eyes of the kids. As they gathered around the hamster, planning its new home and ensuring it was safe, Jessica felt a rush of connection. Here, in this moment, even amidst rules and structure, they had created magic. But mixed in with that joy, a flicker of fear still pulsed deep inside her. Could this happiness last? The classroom buzzed with excitement, but as she glanced at Tom, a flicker of worry passed between them. Would Mr. Carter regret this decision? Would someone complain? The happiness was contagious, yet the fragility of it snagged at her, and even as the laughter echoed, Jessica couldn't shake the feeling that the battle wasn't over. There would be other challenges waiting just around the corner, threatening the spark they'd finally ignited. "What's the hamster's name?" one of the girls chirped, grabbing the attention of the group. "Let us call him Hope," squealed another, voices mixing into a joyful chorus. As Jessica watched their faces light up, she couldn't help but hope that, this time, hope would take root, because their coming days could be like today, filled with laughter, if only they could hold on to it. What if tomorrow, that hope was challenged in ways she never expected? The next morning dawned bright and clear, a promising start to the day. Jessica arrived at school with a spring in her step, fueled by the hope that had blossomed the day before. The laughter of the children echoed in her mind, each giggle tethered to the little hamster they had named Hope. There was a lightness in the air, a fragile bubble of excitement that hummed around the classroom as they anticipated the day ahead. As the bell rang, children scampered into the room, all eyes darting to the corner where the hamster's cage sat. Jessica had taken special care to construct a cozy little habitat for Hope, complete with soft bedding and a small water bottle. The kids clustered around, peering in, their chatter a lively chorus. "Can we take him out today?" pleaded the little boy who found him, his eyes twinkling with anticipation. "First, let us make sure he is comfortable," Jessica replied, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "And we'll take turns. Everyone will get a chance to hold him." The day unfolded with another layer of excitement: art projects, hamster facts, and a growing sense of community. Jessica felt alive amongst them, as if a part of her, long buried under layers of doubt, was breaking free. But as lunch approached, whispers began to drift around the room. "It's against school policy," some murmured, recalling Mr. Carter's earlier warnings. "What if he gets loose? What if someone finds out?" The laughter started to fade, replaced by a murmur of anxiety. Jessica's heart sank. Despite the joy they had created, the shadow of uncertainty was creeping back in. She spotted Tom across the room, who caught her eye and walked over, his expression serious. "We need to talk to Mr. Carter, Jessica. I don't think he is happy about this whole thing." "I know, but they love him," Jessica responded quietly, glancing around at the children. "Look at their faces. This is more than just a hamster to them." Tom nodded, but he seemed unconvinced. "What if he shuts it down? What are we going to do then?" Jessica couldn't deny the reality spinning in the back of her mind. The last thing she wanted was to see the joy snatched away again. Just then, as if following her troubled thoughts, Mr. Carter appeared in the doorway, his expression cautious. "I just wanted to check in," he said, crossing his arms. "How's everything going?" The children, instantly sensing tension, shifted in their seats. "It's going great." One of them piped up, the innocence evident in his voice. "Hope is super cute." Another chimed in, hoping to light up the atmosphere. Mr. Carter's gaze flicked to Jessica. "I'm glad to hear. Just remember, we need to stick to the rules." Jessica swallowed, the lump in her throat heavy. "We understand, Mr. Carter. But can't there be a way to keep things safe and still allow the kids to experience this?" Silence stretched, charged with unspoken words. Mr. Carter's frown deepened, confusion and concern warring on his face. "If this hamster becomes a problem, it will be my job to address it. I can't have parents complaining, or worse, someone getting hurt. What if we can show him how responsible we can be?" Tom offered, stepping forward. "If we organize this properly, we can actually follow the rules." The air felt thick with hope, but at that moment, Jessica noticed a shift in the room. An older boy leaned in, whispering to his friends, they should just put him back outside. "It's not worth the trouble." Jessica's heart sank further. What had started as a fun adventure was now teetering on the edge of disaster. Her palms felt clammy, and she sensed the children's spirit wavering. Would they be able to stand up for hope when it mattered most? And just when she thought the day couldn't get any more complicated, a loud knock echoed through the classroom door. Jessica turned, stomach twisting. Who could it be now? The door creaked open, revealing a stern-looking woman with a clipboard. "I'm here to speak about the animal policy," she announced. The faces of the children fell, and a hush enveloped the room as uncertainty settled in once more. Jessica braced herself. The real challenge was here, and she could feel every heartbeat pulsing with fear and hope. How far would they go to protect the joy they had found? The woman stepped into the classroom, the air thick with dread. Her sharp gaze flitted over the students, whose excitement had been reduced to a palpable silence. Jessica felt the weight of that clipboard as if it were a crushing stone. It was a reminder of the rules that could take away the joy from her students. "Miss Carson," the woman said, her voice authoritative yet not unkind. "I'm Mrs. Jennings, the school's compliance officer. I need to discuss the presence of the hamster." Fear rippled through Jessica, but she stood tall, determined not to let the moment snatch away the light that hope had brought. "We understand the policies, Mrs. Jennings," she began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. "But the children have shown such responsibility and care. Hope truly means more than just a pet to them." Mrs. Jennings raised an eyebrow, her expression skeptical. "While I appreciate your passion, the safety of our students is paramount. We need to adhere to the regulations." At this, Jessica's stomach twisted. "But what if we could prove we've been responsible? We can take turns caring for him, create schedules, and even involve the students in his education. We can make it educational." Behind her, the children perked up, their expressions shifting from despair to cautious hope. They didn't want to lose this little ray of light, and that glimmer in their eyes ignited a flicker within Jessica. Mrs. Jennings adopted a neutral tone. "How do you propose to address the risks of having an animal in the classroom? What if something goes wrong?" Before Jessica could muster a response, Tom chimed in. "Maybe we could have a system where students can only handle hope under adult supervision. We have safe places for him, and we could even present our findings about hamsters to the class. What if this could work?" Jessica felt her heart racing with the prospect of keeping their little community intact. Mrs. Jennings shifted her weight, pondering their proposal. "You'd need proper guidelines in place and an agreement from the parents. If any issues arise, though we'll take responsibility," Jessica pledged earnestly. "I'll speak to the parents and ensure everyone is on board. We can make this a learning opportunity." Mrs. Jennings' stance relaxed just a fraction. "I'll need a meeting set up," and all involved must agree before this can continue. Consider it a trial run, contingent on how well it goes. Jessica nodded, a wave of relief washing over her. I can do that. I truly believe our students will rise to the occasion. The kids erupted in excited whispers, their spirits lifting with the possibility of keeping hope. Jessica felt a rush of warmth at their enthusiasm, but then she noticed the boy who had whispered earlier slumping back in his seat. Not everyone thinks this is a good idea, he muttered. Jessica approached him gently. Why do you feel that way, Sam? It's okay to share. He hesitated, his brow furrowed. I just think it might become too much trouble. What if he escapes? What if someone gets hurt? Jessica could see the fear in his eyes, the very uncertainty she had felt days earlier. I understand. But sometimes, taking a chance is worth it if it means bringing us all together, she assured him softly. His gaze met hers, and slowly, he nodded, as if contemplating the thought. With Mrs. Jennings still in the room, Jessica felt exhilarated by the chance she had to make this work. She turned back to the class. Okay, team. Let's brainstorm some ideas on how we can turn this into a project for the whole school. We'll show everyone how responsible we can be. Cheers and excited chatter filled the room once more, pulling Jessica into their collective joy. As the bell rang to signal the next class, the energy surged through her veins. If they could unite, they could tackle anything together. Still, deep down, Jessica couldn't shake the unease left behind by both Mrs. Jennings's presence and Sam's concerns. What would happen if they failed to meet expectations? What if Hope's future hung in the balance of their efforts? With that thought lingering, she realized they would have to act swiftly. The battle for Hope wasn't over, and they had more to prove than she initially thought. Could they rally enough support to safeguard the joy they had fought for? The bright morning sun spilled through the classroom windows, casting hopeful shadows on the laughter-filled space. Jessica stood at the front, feverishly noting every suggestion the children were making about their new project on Hope, the hamster. Their voices collided in a symphony of excitement, the weight of yesterday's worries slowly dissipating into a gentle rhythm of hope. She couldn't help but bask in their joy. What if we create a poster about hamsters for the parents' night? A girl suggested, her hand shot up, eyes sparkling like stars. And we could write facts to teach everyone how to take care of them. Another chimed in. Jessica nodded, feeling a glow radiate from her heart. There was no better way to embrace this little creature than to educate others, but amid the joy, doubt lurked. Jessica's thoughts danced around Mr. Carter's impending decision and Mrs. Jennings's stern warning. What if they couldn't rally enough parents to support them? What if Hope's presence was still questioned? As the children dove into their ideas, that uncertainty flickered in the back of her mind like a light bulb teetering on the edge. Okay, everyone. Jessica called, gathering their attention. Let us make our plan and present it as a group to Mr. Carter and Mrs. Jennings. We need to show them how responsible we have been so far. A wave of applause broke through the room, reinforcing her determination. Deep down, she knew they could present a united front. In the next few days, pulling the community together transformed into a whirlwind of activity. Each child stepped up drawing posters, writing facts, and even crafting a little song about hamster care that sent ripples of giggles through their classroom. Jessica's heart swelled every time laughter surfaced, each moment stitching the community closer together, around hope. Then came the day of the big meeting. Parents filed into the school auditorium, faces lined with curiosity. Jessica's stomach flipped as she stood at the front, clutching a clipboard detailing their plan, surrounded by a chorus of excited children who clutched their handmade creations. They were a vibrant sea of handmade signs and laughter, and she felt a newfound courage rising within her. Welcome everyone. We're so grateful for your support today, she began, her voice steady despite the racing of her heart. We want to share something special with you, our project on hope. With each kid's enthusiastic contribution, the air filled with life. They showcased their preparations, teaching the adults about hamsters, their habits, needs, and, most importantly, the joy they had created together. As their passion poured forth, Jessica watched their parents' faces transform from skepticism to warmth, but then, Mr. Carter stood to address the crowd, a serious look in his eyes. "I appreciate your efforts, but we still have to consider the safety regulations." The murmur grew quieter, tension enveloping the room like a thick fog. Before he could continue, Jessica took a deep breath, weaving her courage with the love she felt from the children. "Mr. Carter, with permission, I'd like to present our safety plan. We're prepared to handle hope responsibly, and we want to show that a community united can protect its own while creating joy." Her voice rang out, clear and unwavering. Tom stood beside her, nodding in solidarity. "With adult supervision and organized schedules, we can ensure that this doesn't just foster fun, but teaches responsibility, too." As she spoke, the energy in the room shifted. Parents leaned in, considering their little one's earnestness, a spark igniting at the heart of every parent present. "Please, we want to do this right," Jessica continued, sensing the change in atmosphere. "We want this to show how our community can rise above struggles and share responsibility together." The applause broke through like a chorus, resonating warmth and hope. Finally, Mr. Carter's stern expression softened. Hesitation flickered in his eyes as he glanced at Mrs. Jennings. They shared a quiet look, an unspoken dialogue bouncing between two paths: the rigidity of rules or the warmth of community. "All right," Mr. Carter said slowly, "we can try it on a trial basis, but we will monitor it closely, and if anything conflicts with our policies, we'll have to revisit." Cheers erupted, and Jessica felt a surge of pride. She wrapped her arms around the children, who chimed in with "thank you," echoing through the auditorium. Hope had found a home, but this wasn't just about the hamster. It was about forging bonds, creating a sense of belonging, and igniting laughter where there might have been despair. In the following weeks, they adopted routines around hope, and the classroom buzzed with excitement and joy. Jessica felt lighter than she had in years. Soon, word spread through the community. Neighbors began presenting ideas, creating support groups around the spirit of unity that Jessica's students had ignited. Her friendships with Tom deepened too. They worked together seamlessly, strategizing how to expand their project and provide added resources for families in need. In moments of pause, their connection simmered with an undeniable warmth, and Jessica started to imagine possibilities beyond just community service. The trust she had built with him flickered into something vibrant and real, and as she watched the countdown to the community fair, where they would showcase their project on hope and share their experiences, Jessica couldn't help but feel the tides turning in her life. Courage, laughter, and a new sense of purpose filled her every beat, and in every hug shared, hope was unfolding not just for her students, but for her and her children too. "Hey, Jess," Tom said one day, wiping his brow as they stacked boxes. "I've really enjoyed working on this with you. It's felt different, you know." She smiled, a rush of warmth radiating through her. "I feel it too," she managed, her heart racing with unspoken truths. "Thank you for being here." As they locked eyes, the world around them melted away, and Jessica knew that this moment, filled with shared purpose and emotion, had been the bridge she had needed to cross. And as they ventured forward, figuring out how to balance dreams and responsibilities together, she felt ready to welcome every change in her heart. Humans were made to connect, she realized. Just like they had all gathered for hope, they could even lift each other up when life felt heavy. And so began a new journey, one fueled by both laughter and love, creating a brighter tomorrow, together. Now, more than ever, she realized that the true treasure lay in these connections, in community, and the hope they had created together. In this moment of clarity and transformation, an urge surged through her. It was time to act. Do not let this journey end here. If you felt inspired by Jessica's story, you need to subscribe now to witness more incredible transformations. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and tell the world how deeply Jessica's story resonated. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can continue to spread hope and inspiration.